The terrorist TPLF has been engaged in provocative acts in various parts of neighboring Amhara and Afar regions and disrupting the delivery of humanitarian aid to Tigray. In an exclusive interview with the TV English spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, Ambassador Dina said pertinent government officials had a constructive discussion with USAID Administrator Samantha Power, who has arrived in Ethiopia on Wednesday. Power held talks with high government officials concerning access to humanitarian support to Tigray. Dina briefed the TV.
There was a visit of Madam Samantha Power, the USAID Director to Ethiopia. She was briefed on the genesis of the problem, the challenge in the northern part of Ethiopia. Particularly, she was briefed on the fact that there has been a reform process going on in Ethiopia, which everybody is aware of. That reform process has been all-rounded. It was political, economic, cultural, social, and diplomatic as well. Though the TPLF forces couldn't continue with the reform process, they boycotted and they left the process. The government, the federal government, has pleaded them to come back to the process. Elders, the religious figures, personalities of all sorts were sent to Tigray to persuade them to come back to the process, though they were not willing. At the end of the day, they stopped the Northern Command Force from the back. That triggered the conflict. The government was forced or pulled, or we can call it pushed into this process of law enforcement operations after so long patience. And
The spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia said Samantha has been briefed on the destructive effects of the TPLF that blocked humanitarian aid and caused new displacements on the people of Afar and Amhara.
She was briefed also about the unilateral humanitarian ceasefire, which the government has declared, though it was not reciprocated positively by the other side. She briefed her also on the fact that these forces have started invading the Amhara areas and the Tigray, the Afar areas as well, in violations of the ceasefire declared by the government in the interest of the people of Tigray. And still, she expressed to her the commitment of the government for the ceasefire. Though the other side is not willing, and they are into these situations. And it was a kind of active engagement. It was a kind of positive engagement by way of briefing the guest about what has happened here. And we hope and believe that she has got the right perspective of what is prevailing here. In fact, the guest also insisted on the need for the humanitarian, for boosting humanitarian relief, which she considers vital. And I think she made an opinion also of putting pressure on the other side also, because the other side should reciprocate the same way and to play a positive and constructive role in this process.
U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID Administrator Samantha Power said her government is concerned about the conflict in Tigray and the challenges of humanitarian assistance to reach the region, as well as the internally displaced people in Amhara and Afar regions as a result of TPLF's continued military movement, a spokesperson added.
Meanwhile, in a weekly press briefing, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, Ambassador Dina Mufti, highlighted the ministry's major weekly political, economic and civic engagement events. Ambassador Dina said UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator Martin Griffiths met with Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Demeke Mekonnen last week, and the two sides exchanged views on the current humanitarian situation in northern Ethiopia. The ambassador also said the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce has signed an agreement with its Algerian counterpart to establish the Ethio-Algeria Joint Chamber of Commerce. This is believed to cement the bilateral ties of the two nations, as to the spokesperson.
Economic diplomacy, Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce signed an agreement with the Algerian counterparts on forming the Council of the Ethiopian Trade Associations. Ethiopian engineers groups also held virtual discussions with their counterparts in Algeria on the way to cooperate, to forge cooperations between them.
Dean also stated that the diaspora community has shown strong participation in the Renaissance Dam in the field of civic diplomacy.
Otherwise, Ethiopians living in various countries have kept have continued expressing solidarity with Ethiopia, especially with the Ethiopian National Defense Force. Others also have continued pledging money and diplomatic support for the GERD.